Hello everyone! Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're once again going to discuss several leaks that I managed to find and that I think are pretty interesting to talk about. As always, all of this information comes from fairly credible sources. Alright, now let's move on to the main topic. In the previous video, we took a deep dive into the characters who are likely to appear in the version 4.4 and 4.5 banners. For those of you who may have missed that discussion, I highly recommend checking it out first. This time, we'll be moving on to a character who is just as interesting and has been the subject of community speculation for quite a long time, Nihilux. As usual, all of this information comes from fairly credible sources. So without wasting any more time, let's jump straight into the discussion. Based on the various leaks that have circulated so far, Nihilux is most likely going to become a playable character in version 4.7. And one of the biggest reasons why she's so highly anticipated is because she's expected to become the third and final main push character of the Plan Arcadia patches, following Silverwolf 999 and Himiko SP. As for her path, most of the speculation so far points toward Nihilux becoming an Elation character, although her exact role still remains unclear at the moment. What makes Nihilux such an interesting discussion topic is her potential position as the main support for the Elation path during the 4.x patches. If we look back at previous information from Uncle B via Galaxy Leaks, they mentioned that Nihilux would supposedly have mechanics somewhat similar to CYRENE. She's rumored to possess transformation abilities while also being capable of supporting the Elation abilities of other characters within the team. So based on that information, Nihilux has long been speculated to become the final support for the Elation path during the 4.x cycle, very similar to what happened with CYRENE, who became the closing support unit for the Remembrance path during the 3.x patches. And honestly, this lines up perfectly with long-standing community speculation, where many players have expected Nihilux to become a dedicated support specifically designed for Elation teams, following the same overall pattern seen during the 3.x era. However, all of those assumptions are now being challenged by a new piece of information that is honestly pretty surprising and directly contradicts what many people previously believed. This information comes from Uncle Red Note via HSR Italia, the same source we previously discussed during our conversation about Himiko SP's possible teammates. Interestingly enough, this information has actually existed since April 21st. In the post, Uncle Red Note explicitly stated that players should not fully trust any currently circulating information regarding Nihilux. Furthermore, they added that Nihilux may not actually be the CYRENE of Elation like many people have assumed for months. They even implied that the current public perception of Nihilux may not reflect the character's real direction at all. Then Uncle Red Note made another particularly interesting statement: the current Elation roster is actually still lacking a true skill-based Elation main DPS. And through that statement, they strongly implied that Nihilux may ultimately fill that role. In other words, Uncle Red Note believes Nihilux will most likely arrive as a main DPS character rather than a support or sustain unit like many people originally expected. Honestly, this information from Uncle Red Note is extremely interesting, but at the same time it also raises a lot of questions. If we look at the current Elation roster as of version 4.2, Honkai starrail has already released 5 Elation characters, one of which is the Trailblazer, while the other 4 are limited 5-star characters. Out of those 4 limited characters, 3 already function as either main DPS or sub-DPS units, while only 1 serves as a support. So if Nihilux also ends up becoming another DPS, then the Elation archetype would become heavily unbalanced, with far too many DPS characters but very limited support options. Right now, the only true dedicated Elation support we currently have is yaoguang. And if Nihilux also becomes a DPS, then building a fully optimized full Elation team would become even more difficult. I mean, realistically speaking, How are players supposed to run 3 different Elation DPS characters simultaneously when there's only one dedicated support available, namely Yaoguang? Especially when we also know that Aventurin SP in version 4.5 is heavily rumored to become yet another Elation DPS, even though his kit is supposedly designed to function independently from other Elation characters in the team. Logically speaking, the most reasonable move for Hoyoverse would be to release Nihilux as either a support or sustain character for Elation, because those are the exact roles that players currently need in order to create a truly complete and optimized Elation team composition. The only scenario where Nihilux becoming a main DPS would still make sense is if she follows the same design as Aventurin SP, where her kit is specifically designed to function optimally without relying on other Elation teammates. But of course, that's still just speculation at this point. Another important thing we should also consider is Mortis' earlier statement claiming that up until version 4.2, most newly released characters would indeed belong to the Elation path, but after that point, the number of new Elation characters would supposedly decrease significantly. Because of that, it's very possible that after version 4.2, we may only receive 2 or 3 additional Elation characters overall, especially considering Aventurin SP is already expected to become an Elation unit in version 4.5. And with so few remaining slots available for future Elation characters, the urgency for Hoyoverse to allocate those slots toward truly necessary roles, namely support and sustain, becomes even greater. From that perspective, Nihilux becoming a support still feels far more logical than her becoming another DPS character. If we summarize all the information we discussed today, the overall situation honestly becomes pretty confusing. On one hand, older leaks and long-standing community speculation all point toward Nihilux becoming a support unit, essentially the CYRENE of Elation. But on the other hand, Uncle Rednote presented a completely different perspective by strongly implying that Nihilux may actually become a main DPS instead. Personally, I'm still leaning much more toward the possibility of Nihilux becoming a support character, simply because it makes the most sense both from a meta perspective and from the perspective of what Elation teams currently need overall. But of course, we'll still have to wait for more concrete information before reaching any definitive conclusions. So, what do you guys think? Do you believe Nihilux will truly become a main DPS like Uncle Rednote suggested? Or do you still think she'll ultimately become the long-awaited Elation support character everyone has been expecting? Feel free to share your thoughts and speculations down in the comments section below. Alright, with that, we've reached the end of today's discussion. Thank you all so much for your time and attention for watching this video all the way until the end. Don't forget to share this video with your fellow Honkai Star Rail players so they also won't miss the latest information. Your support through likes and subscriptions truly means a lot to the growth of this channel. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next discussion.